Hey besties, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm joined with one of my favorite people, my friend Aspen.
Hi.
We actually used to be roommates, and also Aspen lore. Aspen used to be a booktuber. So today's theme is going to be motorcycle club romance. Someone in the book is in like a biker gang, essentially. So my book is called Sicko, and it's by Amo Jones. So our main character is a girl named Jade, and when she was a baby, she was left on the doorstep of an orphanage, and this really rich family called the Kane family adopt her because they have an only son named Royce who's around 3, and they really want a brother for him, but they decide to adopt her instead. So now he has a little sister. You should be nervous that we're starting with a male and female character who are brother and sister. The first chapter opens with Jade at 15. Royce is teasing Jade because there's a boy from her school who's been like texting her about meeting up. He's like, oh, you want to sneak out? You want to hook up? Whatever. And Royce is like really overprotective of Jade. He never lets her date boys, never lets her hook up, never lets her drink alcohol. Like he's like, you can't do anything. And he has a nickname for her called Duchess, so he calls her Duchess.
Goodbye.
But then she's like, but you fuck girls all the time. Like, why are you allowed to go out and do things, but I'm not? And he's like,
all the time at 18?
Yeah, he does. His dick is apparently magic. That's what she says. Before we get further into this unhinged video, we need to talk about something that is actually magic. And that's today's sponsor, Surfshark VPN. A VPN, or virtual private network, is a tool that encrypts your internet traffic and hides your IP address to ensure a secure and private connection to the internet. This is great for when you're working on your laptop on public Wi-Fi because you really want to protect your data. I was actually so excited when Surfshark reached out to work with me because I have been a paying customer for 4 years. The number one reason that I love using Surfshark is that I use it to unblock region-locked content on Netflix and other streaming services. For example, I am a huge RuPaul's Drag Race fan. I don't talk about it enough on this channel, but I love drag queens and I need my fix every time a new season comes out. And recently, Global All-Stars just started and it's a physical need to see Alyssa Edwards on the main stage again. Here's the issue. It's only streaming on Paramount Plus in the US. I simply refuse to pay for another streaming service. The good news is that I do pay for WoW Presents Plus, which is the Drag Race streaming service. And on there, Global All-Stars is available in other countries. Using Surfshark is really easy. All I have to do is set my location to the UK where the season is available and I can go on my merry way watching All-Stars. Obviously, the most popular streaming service to do this on is Netflix because there's a lot of movies and shows that are only available in certain countries. Surfshark has over 3,200 servers in 100 countries, and this makes it so easy to stream literally anything. As I've mentioned, I've been a user for over 4 years and used my own money on this, so I really recommend it. But if for some reason you use it and you're not happy with it, they actually have a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's really no risk in trying it. You can use the code Sarah or the link in my description to get an extra 4 months free when you sign up. Okay, so they're fighting over the phone, and then Jade follows him inside, and she's like, I'm gonna follow you all day until you give me my phone back. So they go into his bedroom, and he's like, oh, you really want your phone back? And she's like, yeah. And then he starts to unbutton his pants.
That's not what she asked.
She kind of like jumps onto the bed, tummy first, like on her stomach to grab the phone because like she's reaching for the phone. And then he goes behind her and he grabs her hair from behind, like back here, and then yanks her head up and is like, I don't want another guy looking at you from this angle. I swear to God, we're like 20 pages in.
Pornhub? Like
the stepsister, like, oh, step bro, I fell
in the dryer.
I fell into the dryer. What's crazy too is that this book is really self-aware. So like while he's like grabbing her by her hair and saying that, she says in her POV, she goes, I hope no one walks in right now because this looks like 50 Shades of Incest. He follows her into her room and he pins her down on the bed. This is going to be a theme throughout the book that every time she says or does something that he doesn't like, he will either pin her against the ground, the wall. He will always have his full body weight on her at all times with her hands above her head. Like this is a common position they end up in. Like this happens repeatedly to the point where I was wondering if Amo Jones realized that she was writing the same scene over and over again. Also, Jade is very much giving I'm not like the other girls because she's just like, I'm just like so weird. I just like have no female friends and I'm the only girl that my brother and his friends will hang out with and all these other girls are jealous of me. So while she's at the party, she doesn't really enjoy parties because she doesn't drink because Royce doesn't let her drink because she's not allowed to. She's not having very much fun, but then she meets this girl who's new. Her name's India, and they start talking and they're like getting along and she's like, oh, I never have that many female friends, but like maybe I'll be friends with her. And then as they're talking, when she introduces herself as India, she's like, oh, I really like your name. Sometimes people think that I'm Indian because I look a little like ethnically ambiguous. It was just a really weird comment.
Very weird.
It was so odd. There were a couple of weird like kind of race comments like that, but I wouldn't go as far to claim that it was like racist, but there was just like some weird comments of being Asian or like, I don't know. I was just like, yeah, I was like, I don't we need that. And then Royce comes up to them while they're talking and he's like all over Jade. So India's like, oh, are you guys like together? Because like he's like literally hugging her all over her. And she's like, ew, no, like this is my foster brother. And then Royce goes, foster brother is a loophole in front of a new person. So eventually Jade's not having very much fun at the party. So she decides to go like sleep in the pool house. And also, by the way, this party's on an island because one of Royce's friends, I think is Orson, is his name. He like owns this island. Like his dad is really rich and there's just a mansion on this island. And the only way to get there is like on a boat. So everybody who went here is like all these rich kids that have boats. And while she's sleeping in there, she feels Royce get in bed with her behind her and he starts spooning her and his dick is hard. And he's like, be quiet. So it's a really weird scene because it's like so quick. Within like 2 sentences, he starts going down on her. Like, I don't really understand the physics. Okay, I started thinking this scene is weird. She gets woken up. It's a sex dream. It's a sex dream. So Orson...
No. She's still 15 years old. No!
So Orson wakes her up and he's like, we gotta go, Jade. Royce got in a fight and he almost killed a guy, so we gotta go. So they get on the boat and they're going back, and then she realizes that Royce got stabbed. And something about this book is there's a lot of things like this that get started and then they don't go anywhere. So you think, oh my god, he got stabbed, this is gonna be a big part of the plot. No, she's not like, oh, I need to go get revenge on the guy who stabbed him. But then she goes to like talk to someone and then we get a time jump. We literally never revisit him getting stabbed. I swear to god. After some undeterminate amount of time after he gets stabbed, the mom just like walks into Jade's room and she's like, Royce is gone, he's missing. And then now we're 4 years later, and so she is now 19 and Royce is in his 20s. And so in her POV, she's like, I've been crying for him every night. He abandoned me. My heart is broken. My big brother left me behind.
So he got stabbed and then ran away?
Yeah, something like that. But what's crazy is you would think that now we've had a time jump. We haven't seen Royce. We're gonna like experience, you know, Jade being without him. No. So literally she goes out for like coffee with her friend Sloan. They're like talking, whatever. And then she goes home and her mom's like, it's Royce's birthday. He's coming home tonight. I'm making him a cake right now. But what's crazy is she wrote this in like, oh, we haven't seen him in 4 years, but then we literally see him in the next scene. So there's no tension. And so he shows up on a motorcycle. This is when the motorcycle started coming in. So then Jade gives him some attitude. So guess what? Guess what he does? He slams her against the wall, pins her against the wall, arms above the head. This is going to happen every scene, I promise you. And then he like rubs his nose on her face. And he's like, oh, did you miss me? You should be scared of me, Duchess. You're not safe from me anymore. While they're eating dinner, Jade asks to be excused. And Royce, very specific, because we're in his POV right now, he watches her ass as she goes up the stairs. And he thinks to himself, if she wasn't my foster sister, I would have that ass parked on my junk for 2 business days.
This is so unhinged.
Then we flash forward and Jade's mom is bringing her to UCLA because they live in, I believe, San Francisco. And she was going to like Stanford or something. I don't fully understand. She's like, yeah, I'm in medical school now. But I'm like, but you're 19. Like, you're like transferring in as like a sophomore. Like, what do you mean you're in medical school? And so Royce and his biker friends show up right as like they're like pulling up to the dorm. And he insists on walking her into the dorm. And the mom is like, okay, I guess I'll leave. And so he promises her that he's going to check on her every weekend. And she's kind of like, I haven't seen you in 4 years. He's basically like, I have to watch over you because now that we live in the same city, like LA is my city, I have so many enemies because of my like biker club. Like they're gonna come after you. So I have to like keep an eye on you. And she's like, leave me alone. He says to her, check under the bed tonight, Duchess, because I'll be the monster lurking under it.
No.
And then we find out after Royce leaves, she gets a text from this guy that's like, come outside. And so since she was 15 years old, there's this guy named James who's been like forcing her to be in a relationship with him. It's kind of implied that he's an older man. He has power over her. And she like tried to report him to the police. But when she went to the police station to report him, he was there. And like he basically stalks her. And he like forces her. So she thought when she moved to LA that he like wouldn't come after her anymore. But he like literally shows up at her dorm. He's like, get in my SUV, let's go. But then when he takes her back to his hotel room, we find out that the torturous sex that he has with her is very sensual and kind. Like he's very like nice to her, but she doesn't like that. So then later, after James drops her off back at her dorm, she goes out with her friend Sloan and they go like partying and they had like make a new friend. And then the friend is like, oh, I know a place where we can go. And she drives them to the clubhouse that belongs to Royce's motorcycle gang. So he brings her up to his room and he's like, now that you're in LA, you have to follow my rules. And then she says something sassy and guess what he does? He pushes on her onto the bed and he puts her arms above her head and he says, I'm meaner than I used to be. Don't test me. We also find out that his biker gang name, because you know, they all have weird names, his name is Sicko. So then fast forward, that scene wasn't very long. We are now back in her dorm and James is picking her up. He sends her a text and he's like, hey, I like bought you an expensive dress. It's on your bed, like open it up. So she puts on like this really fancy, like silky green dress. He picks her up and he brings her to a sex club where she has to wear a mask and it's giving very much like Eyes Wide Shut vibes. Like it's like rich people come here and they like pay to have like crazy sex experiences. And then James kind of shoves her into a dark room and just leaves her there by herself. And she's like, what? And then a voice comes over the intercom and is like, each level of this house is based on your kink level. She does not know what level she's on. And she's also in the dark and they're wearing masks. Like, so like she can't, even if she did see somebody, so she can't, like doesn't know who people are. And so she realizes that there's 2 men in the room room with her because she like hears them breathing. They basically are like, hey, we're gonna fuck you. And she's like, oh. But here's the thing, she starts getting a little wet. She starts getting a little into it. She's like, oh, you're gonna fuck me? They're standing up and she's like talking to them about what she wants. And then one of them, she goes up to him and she wants to kiss him because she's like very attracted to them. So she goes to kiss him, but then as she goes to kiss him, he grabs her and picks her up and puts her legs over his shoulders so her like vagina is in his face, and he starts going down on her. But like, imagine I just like literally lift you up and put you on my face. Is he the Hulk? Like, is that not crazy?
Just effortlessly.
No, like effortless. As she weighs like 100 pounds soaking wet, I guess. I don't know. I was like,
the tiny
the
thing.
physics were not physicking. I was like, what? Like, I don't understand. Like, I was genuinely like about to draw a diagram. This scene is really hard to follow because they suddenly start like slapping her, and then she's giving a blowjob to one of them, and like one of them is talking, but the other one's not talking, and then she's like giving hand jobs to one, and then one of them's like in her vagina, and the one's in her ass, and then they're like, there's a lot going on. They're like Eiffel Towering, and then they're DPing, and there's like there's somebody's there, and it's like and they're in the dark too. And then the lights come on, the guys are gone, and then James is like, all right, let me bring you back to your dorm. So we get this flashback scene, and we find out that 4 years ago, Royce and his two friends, Orson and Storm, that's their names, those are like his boys, and this man kidnaps them, and he has like a voice modulator, and he's like,
you have to leave town. You all have a file in your room, and if you stay in town, then I'm gonna do bad things to your sister Jade.
This kind of insinuates this is why he left town, because he was blackmailed to leave. James takes Jade back to the sex club. We fast forward. James has picked her up again, and he brings her up to a level 4 room. So I was like, oh my god, we're about to witness something really kinky, because remember, the intercom was
Right.
like, it's gonna be so kinky. So all it is it's a group of men in a room with masks on, and there's a pole in the front, and they're like, dance for them. I'm like, I feel like what they did before was kinkier.
The first floor was unhinged.
So she starts dancing, and so then as she's like against the pole or whatever, this guy comes up behind her and starts like touching her, and he seems familiar. She's like, oh, this is the guy from the first night that I like was talking to and had sex with. As he's like grinding on her, he yanks off her mask, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing here, Duchess? And then he takes off his mask, and it's Royce, and we find out that who she had sex with the other night was Royce and Wicked. She's all like, what the fuck? So they all take their masks off. So we find out that the guys there, it's Wicked, Royce, and then his two friends from high school, Storm and Orson. But Royce actually ends up getting really angry at her, and he starts like yelling at her, and he's like, I was never supposed to have sex with you, blah, blah. So then Jade starts crying. Then he brings her to his house, and they start having sex. He does start choking her, and he's like, I have a kink for the color purple. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. They have sex again. This scene is boring. It's just like, whatever, sex. Then afterwards, he overhears Jade telling one of the girls in the motorcycle club that she's always had feelings for him. I don't know why all of a sudden she's accepting this. She's like talking to one of the girls, and she's like, yeah, I've always had it for him. I've always liked him ever since I was a little girl. Me and Royce have always had something going on. Okay, so then Jade is back at her dorm, and she has to go with James again. He sends her a video of her best friend Sloane kidnapped. So we get a lot of flashback scenes interspersed between like what's happening right now. So it's really confusing. So I'm just gonna kind of go over it in whatever order made sense to me. So apparently when Royce was kidnapped for the first time with his friends, apparently Wicked was there too, the guy from the motorcycle club, and they were held captive for 16 days. It was very specific that it was 16 days. Also randomly, it just throws out there that they were forced to have sex together. And there's no explanation. It's like, okay, does James have a fetish? Is he blackmailing them? Did he record it?
Yeah.
Like, there's literally is no explanation. They're just like, oh man, and we had to have sex together. But then Wicked was kept a little bit longer. He is brought this girl into his little room where he's like being held captive, and basically James is like, you have to have sex with her, and she has a bunny mask on and a lot of makeup. And so now at this point he starts piecing together like, oh my god, that was Jade, because Jade went with James, right? And so then James texts a video to Royce and the bikers, like a video of her being held captive, and he's like, oh my god, that's Jade. And so then they realize that James is also this like very famous human trafficker serial killer named Diamond. The reason that Wicked was there was because his younger sister Poppy was sex trafficked by James, and so he was trying to get her back. And so James was like, if you do everything I want with this girl right now, I will give you your sister back. And so they have to stay there for a week, because basically he wanted to train Jade to be a good sex slave, so he forced Wicked to have sex with her so then Wicked could get his sister back. But then when he goes to release Wicked back out into the wild, he's like, just kidding, your sister Poppy's dead, I lied. I don't really fully understand how Wicked and Royce eventually ended up in the same motorcycle club, because the way that Royce joined the motorcycle club is that the very first chapter, like the prologue, is him at a gas station, and this random like homeless woman comes up to him and is like, go in that bar right there, and that's like the bar that belongs to the motorcycle club. And so then he goes in there and he finds them, and then that's how he joins it. Math ain't nothing. So they're like, oh my god, we have to go after Jade, like we have to go find her. When they break in, they save her from the sex slave auction. They save her and Sloane. He gets really mad at her, and they're like going back and forth about like, whatever. And she's like, I couldn't tell you, whatever. And then he's like yelling at her, like, oh, like, are you working with him? And then she goes, and this is where we reveal who James is. She goes, I never asked for your dad to fuck me all these years. James is actually Kyle Kane. She renamed him in her head as James because she wanted to dissociate from him being a part of her family. So then Royce is kind of blind with rage and he's like, yeah, well, I'm gonna fucking kill my dad. That's what's about to happen. They are able to grab him. And so while they're interrogating James / Kyle, we discovered that the reason he did all of this is because Jade is actually the daughter of the motorcycle club president, Lion. Apparently, Lion and Kyle went to high school together. They were best friends. And one night they were like drinking and Lion was driving and they had their girlfriends and whatever with them. And he accidentally got in an accident and he killed Kyle's girlfriend in high school. So he's always hated him. And so then Kyle became very evil after that. He just became an evil person. And so that's when he got into like sex trafficking. But he was dating this girl named Olivia. But then Olivia started to realize that Kyle was like evil. Like she was like kind of like something nefarious is going on here. Basically, he also only likes younger girls. So then Olivia was also getting a little too old for him anyway. So he like let her loose and he was gonna like sex traffic her. But then Lion met her and so then they fell in love. Olivia gets pregnant, but Lion didn't know. Kyle was like mad that they were like involved or something. He orders for her to be killed. And so then she like goes away and then the baby was born. So then Kyle was like, I'm gonna adopt the baby because everything that's happened to me, I deserve this baby. I'm gonna raise this baby to be my sex slave. So that's how he adopted Jade. Like it was a master plan all along for him to adopt Jade because he wants to get back at Lion.
This is like giving when you forget to write your essay like 2 hours before it's due. So then you rush and just trying to grab at loose threads to make things make sense.
Okay, so then after we find all this out, Olivia and Wicked's dead sister suddenly show up and they both fake their deaths. So Poppy's not dead and neither is Olivia. And we find out that all these years that Jade has been involved with James and like been in and out of his like sex trafficking stuff, she has been helping girls escape. And then we find out that the homeless woman in the beginning of the book who told Royce to go into the bar was Olivia. And so then Royce really wants to kill Kyle, like his dad. But they're like, no, we have to let the police take him in because we're trying to take down all these sex trafficking rings, like let them do the law for a bit. But the police obviously are in the pocket of the like motorcycle club. They're able to take down some more like sex rings. And then a year later, Royce is able to finally kill Kyle. And so he like peels all the skin off, does his little killing, his little sicko mode stuff. And then it's implied that they live happily ever after. And it's possible that Jade is pregnant. Did you like it?
No. Okay, so this is called Laurent and the Beast. I'm not gonna say Laurent. I think my pronunciation, you should know this.
It's offensive to French people.
Yeah, and also just like quite not there.
French in high school?
I did. This motorcycle club is called Kings of Hell.
Okay.
Fitting, I guess. And they are cooped up in this like abandoned asylum. Their headquarters, I don't know what you'd call
like their clubhouse.
Yeah, their clubhouse. Yeah.
Okay.
Their headquarters, HQ, is also kind of like a sex club.
Oh.
And we begin the scene with people just kind of fucking everywhere. On the couch, anywhere. And this place is like probably black mold. It sounded really rickety and cursed. So we're in Beast's perspective. And this guy walks up to him and it's apparently his dad. Granted, we are in an active sex ring right now.
Oh, so he's hanging out in there with his dad.
Beast keeps mentioning that he looks handsome as hell.
His dad?
Yes. Just mentioning like his like very attractive features. And I'm like, okay, you chill. Beast has scars all over his body, like burn scars. We've learned that he has not had sex since he was 21.
Okay, how old is he now?
33.
Okay.
But it's just like he's uncomfortable. He's like, I'm so ugly. And then we harken back to 200 years ago. Later, we get introduced to Laurent. And he's on his way to this man's mansion. He's basically an indentured servant. This is like post-French Revolution. So he's like without parents and needs a place to stay. So like...
How old is he?
He's 19. So this is a very interesting age up. I mean, to be fair, when I was 20, I had a boyfriend who was 30.
Do you have trauma from that?
They're like actively like making out. The guy pushes him on the bed and then shackles him. And then we all find out it was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna keep you down here for months. And so they tussle a little bit, and then Laurent stabs him in the neck with like, I think he like backs into a mirror, and so there's like a shard of glass, and so he stabs him, and then like goes ham, blood's going everywhere. And then once this man's dead, the mirror just turns black, and then like becomes sludge, and then this entity comes out.
An entity?
Yeah, and it's like it's the devil. He's like not in the biblical sense, and it's like okay, non-binary deity. Slay.
Okay, why did it come out of the mirror?
I don't know. But he's like, I will offer you this pact. If you go and make sure that Beast stays in the house until he's 33. I will let you live in a place where gays are accepted. And then you can have also like
Not the corporate pride month. He's like the
It's
month
messy.
where I'll send you. It'll always be the month of June.
Yeah. I also forgot to mention that Lauren can't really see well, and they make sure to mention that like several times. I'm like, I get it.
Oh,
You
she's
cannot
not gonna be able to see the scars.
Yeah, Lauren agrees. She's like, oh my god, gay paradise? Of course, I'm so down. Meanwhile, at this sex club, this guy is coming in and he's an ignorant man and pulls out a gun. And he's like, y'all F slurs up in here, y'all. Then Beast rushes over and like knocks the guy down. And then the gun goes off and shoots into the ceiling. And like this rafter falls down and hurts someone. The alarms are going off and the police are there. And that's when they find, or Beast finds Lauren. So they take him to his own little room and they take off his clothes. So they put him into the shower. But then King notices that there's a sigil on the back of his like neck. But then King is like, I have one too. He's like, where do you, like, he's like trying to beat up Lauren. And then Beast is pulling him back, and Lauren's like, "Oh no!" All while this is happening, Beast is like, "Look at like that bubble butt, like that." His really supple ass, and
Oh, and he's really noticing things about.
But then he's like, "Oh, he's so fucking stupid." Oh, but that ass though. Get it together. And so they takes him to the mall and try on different clothes, and Beast is kind of just like staring at him. Basically, he like buys him all this like biker like apparel. He's like, wow, I like the way that those skinny jeans fit around his supple little ass.
He's obsessed with
Yeah,
that.
literally. It's just like,
I think I know who's gonna be the bottom. I think I know who's
Yeah.
gonna be the top.
and he's like, come here, grabs his wrist and like pulls him to the optometrist. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Like in the mall, and apparently they can. I guess you can get vision exams there. I've never done that.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got 20/20 vision.
I do.
Okay.
Well, it's more like it's getting worse now because I'm older.
You
but-
might need to learn about the optometrist.
Yes. So he got prescribed glasses, and he's like, "Oh my god, I can finally see."
They didn't
And-
have bifocals in 1805.
I don't know. Apparently not. And then Beast is like, "Oh no, when he sees me, when he turns around, he's gonna notice how ugly I am." And I'm like,
Beast is really insecure.
so insecure. And then they try to like go to like some like steakhouse, and they're like, "There's like no tables," and like. They're like, clearly there are. His Beast's like, no, they're discriminating against us because we're gay and I have tattoos. So Lauren's like, I don't understand. And then like some guy tries to push past Lauren on like escalator, and Beast's like, what are you doing? And like tries to like threaten him, and they get kicked out of the mall. And then Beast has like a tantrum, and they like speed off. So then a lot of filler stuff happens. We like get introduced to like Beast's like best friend, who like they're practically brothers. And the way that this guy's like described, like, why can't you be the love interest? Because like the way he's written, I know it's big. His name is Knight. They're kind of just like trying to like understand trying to figure out who Lauren is, because like Knight and Lauren have the same last name. He's like, oh yeah, like you're probably like I guess like you're probably like my lineage, but like I don't see where you connect. But you share the same name as someone back in like 1805 who killed William Fane, and,
Which
like,
is the guy that he
yeah.
killed with the glass.
and Lauren's like, Beast is like really like, oh my god, Lauren is in love with me.
It's been one day.
Yeah, and like I'm going to fuck the shit out of him. Obviously, when they get back to the room, like they like he kisses Lauren. Lauren's like, what the fuck? And like Beast is like, how fucking dare you lead me on? You are manipulative. And
How did he lead him on? All he did was have a bubble butt.
he eventually finds out that King also made a pact with the devil, and he's like, but he doesn't tell him why. He's just like, you know, our a common little friend, like.
Oh, so King comes and
Yeah, he's
starts,
like,
okay.
Yeah, and like he's like, Lauren, tell me like what you need. And he's like, I need to like help you keep Beast here until he turns 33. Later on, like Beast is like, oh, I need to go like look at other like clubs like or buildings and whatever. So like, they find this one place. So they're walking through, and then Lauren goes, excuse me, ma'am, is there like a basement? Because King wants to put his sex dungeon down there. We just want to know if that is a viable option.
So at this point, King and Lauren are like working together. Like to
Yeah.
keep them from being able to move.
Yeah.
Okay.
This agent's like, what the fuck? And so like Beast takes Lauren to like a different room and like is yelling at him, and like then he chokes him and like holds him up and like sees red, and then like finally like let's go. As Beast and Lauren like make up and like have like conflicts, Beast is kind of like showing Lauren around, and it kind of becomes more of like a father-son dynamic. And then Lauren eventually is like, I want to try everything with you. He carries Lauren to the bed. Beast like flips Lauren over
Okay.
and pulls down his pants, and they're about to do the deed. And Lauren's like, can you stop? And Beast like loses it, like has another tantrum. And I'm like, this man. Lauren reveals that like that was a test. because he was like, I was in a situation once where I was shackled to a bed and was going to be essayed.
Lauren's like, no means no, bitch.
Literally. Lauren decides, you know what? The solution is to tell Beast that I'm from the 1800s. And he's like, you know what? I know how to prove it. Oh, also, I forgot to mention this. This is a big detail. The entire building was William Fane's house. And Beast knows, like, all the lore. Lauren's like, how many bodies did they find from, like, William Fane's, like, collection? He's like, not all of them. And then he mentions, like, one person, like, I said, they didn't find. Lauren's like, I know where he is. Because when I walked up to William Fane's house, I saw freshly...
oh, great.
Freshly, like, fresh dirt. We want to go out in the rain and dig
up a
6
body.
feet.
Okay.
After this whole argument, and then they do it. They find the skeleton. Apparently, that alone was enough proof to believe this man that was from the 1800s. Like, how would he know the exact place? So, to make up, they go on a job together. Like, they pick up parcels for other people and transport them. That's like their whole thing they do. And so I guess on one of the jobs, they had to camp, and they have their first time. And here's where I was like, I think this is written by straight women, because the first time should not be this
easy.
Painless. The entire moment, they were only in doggy style. And
as a straight woman, I think that is how I picture gay
that.
sex.
There are other ways. They have this party. They had this live band, and kind of throughout the book, Lauren has been obsessed with plastic, and they're playing metal, and he's like, I wonder if they have a music genre called plastic. And I'm like, are you absolutely fucking kidding me?
But when they wrote that joke, they were like, this is gonna slap.
I think Lauren starts to find some guilt. He went and he told Beast King's secret, and his pact he had made. As he's speaking, smoke starts coming out of his mouth.
And he gets whisked away.
And basically as he finishes, he's Pete's I will always be with you forever and forever. And then Lauren just turns into ash and goes away. So then Beast is I can't do this. He kind of storms out and then starts shooting random objects. And he's where's King? Where is he? And then King's loft windows light up from his light.
Yeah.
And he's there he is. I'm gonna end it for all.
Yeah.
King is just you can try your best. You're not gonna do anything, blah, 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 blah. Walking through the house, and then he has to go up these stairs to get to King. He's losing strength.
Because King is stealing his you.
Yeah. He sees King, and they're kind of face to face, and then the devil kind of hears a story above them and is kind of just watching, a little god. Beast gun falls down from the stairs, and then King is there's 30 seconds left, so I'm gonna just toss him my gun, and it doesn't matter because if he shoots me, I'm gonna live. That's not true. That was not true. So there's 5 seconds left, and then
he shoots his dad.
Yes, falls down the stairs.
Dies.
And dies.
Okay, and then what does it even do after that?
He talks to Beast. And basically is okay, I'll make a pact with you.
He loves a pact.
Yeah, because his plans were thwarted, but he was I need this property filled with sex and drugs and just lewd things all the time.
It feeds me.
Yes, and you have to ensure that happens, but more than it did. And you can become president or the king of the motorcycle club. The devil was I'll give you your beauty back.
He's no, I want Lauren.
Exactly. That was fine. Just make sure there's lots more sex.
He's this needs to be a den of iniquity, please.
Yeah. I don't know why you're asking a man who only knows missionary and doggy style, but okay. We all started somewhere, I guess. Beast has to go into the past to get Lauren, because when you go to Lauren's point of view, he's in the back of a wagon that they could start to move, and the men are what is that? And he shoots one of them, and then
oh, he's a gun still.
Yeah. And then I think he shoots the other, the other just runs off, and then Lauren's Beast, is that you? It is me. And so then takes him.
Rescues him.
Brings him back to the future.
Okay.
They just kind of vow to make the club, invest in renovating the club, make it more slutty, and then it starts to shift toward Knight's perspective, and it sets it up for book two. Because there were 5 books in the series.
Are you gonna keep reading?
No.
So that was our first foray into motorcycle club romance. I wanted it to feel like Sons of Anarchy or something.
Yeah.
That's not what it felt like. So I definitely would give other ones a chance. So if you have other better ones, please let us know in the comments. And a special thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. What is my outro? Thank you all so much for watching. You're all beautiful. Have a nice day.